In today's video, we'll be taking a look back at Johnny and the Sprites, looking at the show's history and discovering where those puppets are today. Before we start this video, I would like to give a big shout out to Matthew the Science Guy and several others for suggesting today's video topic. Thanks! I really appreciate it. Also, be sure to comment below your favorite childhood show, and feel free to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss out on other awesome puppet content just like this. Johnny and the Sprites is an American children's musical television series that aired on the Disney Channel's Playhouse Disney program block from October 9, 2005 to April 19, 2008. The show is about Johnny, who's a musician who moves to a house in the woods in order to work on his music, just like how the intro of the show states.
I came to live in this house in the woods, to work on my music on my own.
While Johnny is there, he discovers the Sprites, which in the beginning just featured two sprite characters, a girl sprite named Ginger and a boy sprite named Basil. Throughout each short episode, the two sprites would learn a life lesson from Johnny that would be presented in the form of a musical number. Occasionally, Johnny's cranky neighbor, Miss Moldy Stew, would peek across the fence to chastise Johnny for being too noisy. These little 5-minute short episodes are what began the series, and they would air every so often on Playhouse Disney. These little segments proved to be so popular that the program was then given a full series. The show had the same premise, but was revamped a little by adding in the Sprites' home of Grotto's Grove. The revamped show also featured 3 new sprite characters: Billy, the water sprite, Root, the earth sprite, and Sage, the wise older sprite, with his friends, the Fuzzies. Additionally, a character named Gwen, played by Natalie Belcon, who is a singer and actress, was brought in as a friend for Johnny, who would ever so often visit him, along with a small set of other human characters who would visit Johnny from time to time, causing the sprites to hide from each of Johnny's visitors. Each episode of the preschool series would teach young viewers about tolerance, understanding, and respect through music. The show would go on to run for 2 seasons and was nominated for multiple Daytime Emmy Awards. The series featured a very well collective group of multi-talented Sesame Street and Henson puppeteers, along with amazing puppet builders, writers, and Broadway composers and entertainers. I had gotten the opportunity and privilege to talk with one of the show's co-creators.
My name is Michael Schupach, and I'm a professional puppeteer. We run a shop called the Puppet Kitchen, where we design, build, and perform puppets of any style or scale or whatever.
He told me that the way that Johnny and the Sprites was created is that John Tartaglia was approached by Disney right off of his Avenue Q fame.
Well, it was funny because when Disney approached me, I was doing Avenue Q on Broadway, and the president of Disney Channel came to see Avenue Q and loved the show, and he asked if I ever wanted to work with them on a series, because he knew, he saw my background, and if you read my bio, it was like Sesame Street, all these things I'd done, that were obviously very puppet based and very family based.
John then approached Michael about the idea for the show. They teamed up. After that, they both teamed up with a lady named Louise Gikow and another lady named Jill Gluckson. According to Michael, they all ended up being the core creative team for the show. John Tartaglia told Scholastic.com in an article featured on their website at the time called Here's Johnny, explained to the interviewer how he got the idea for the show. Johnny said, and I quote, "When I was 16, I had an idea for this magical place with these woodland creatures. At the time, I didn't know they were sprites. I just knew they were fairy-like and pure magic. Then one day, I thought, well, sprites are magical fairy-like creatures, so they're sprites. And that's kind of how it happened." End quote. But as stated before, the show was not only created by Johnny. Daryl Watson, Jill Gluckson, and Louise Gikow were also writers and co-creators of the show. Michael Schupach worked in collaboration with Jim Krupa and John Orberg of 3 Design Studio to build characters for the show. Jim Krupa is a very skilled puppeteer and puppet builder. His puppet career has brought him many credits, including, but not limited to, Bear in the Big Blue House, Whimsy's House, Allegra's Window, Tween the Lions, Eureka's Castle, Book of Pooh, and of course, Johnny and the Sprites. Jim Krupa is a very talented mechanics designer. So, when you see the Sprites' antenna move, turn, or wiggle, or you see the Schmoll's eyebrows go up and down, that is a good majority of Jim's work on screen. Leslie Carr Rudolph voices and puppeteers Ginger. Tim Lagasse puppeteers and voices Basil. Heather Ash voices and puppeteers Root. Carmen Osbar voices and puppeteers Lily. Also, fun fact, Johnny and the Sprites was filmed at Kaufman Astoria Studios, which is the same place that Sesame Street is filmed at. At the time when Sesame Street had decided to move upstairs, Johnny and the Sprites were allowed to film right below, which was the same place of the original Sesame Street set. A huge shout out and thank you to Michael Schupach for this amazing fact. Now, answer the main question about where those puppet characters are today. Throughout the years, there have been several pictures that have surfaced on the internet showing the sprites out and about, away from the grove, kind of exploring the world around them. So, while reaching out to Michael Schupak, Michael replied and told me, and I quote, "I have it on good authority that the sprites are safe and sound with their creators, and are waiting until they can return to the grove." End quote. I'm so happy to hear that they're being well taken care of, and maybe a little tease for a reboot in store for the future. Thanks for watching. Until then, check out the next puppet-related video on the screen.